as an expert, wouldn't it be invaluable if you could create a global platform that allows you to not just optimize your profits, but really make an impact? Well, a lot of people tell me, especially clients and colleagues, "Well, I'm going to do a telesummit. I want to bring a bunch of people together and have them talk." And my advice is always like, no, don't do it because it's a lot of work to make it profitable. And sometimes you never even get it profitable because you're doing so many of the wrong things trying to get the right outcome. Well, my guest today has really figured out a little bit of a secret to making it all come together. And he's got one of the most popular telesummits out there in the industry right now. I can't wait to share him with you. So let's get rolling. I'm Melanie Benson. I'm America's leading small business optimizer, and this is a weekly series, a podcast that's available on iTunes and on my site, where I'm sharing little tips that are going to make a huge difference. And I like doing that by having you learn from the trials and tribulations of people that I know and love, people that I've found that are really up to great things. They've had a successful business, they've gone through the school of hard knocks, and they figured out how to make it all work. And I figure, why not bring them on and have them share their journey and have you learn through what is working for them. So let me just tell you a little bit about my special guest today. It's John Burgos, and John is the founder and host of the transformational telesummit series, Beyond the Ordinary. Just take that in for a second. Don't you love that title, Beyond the Ordinary? Who wants to be ordinary? So this is a virtual event that delivers the next generation of thought-provoking and inspiring experts to help you to awaken to your true potential. And, really, we're going to talk today about how he's leveraged his experience as an international business consultant and an advisor for world-renowned transformational leaders. And it's really helped John create this global platform that helps to deliver tools and information that he used to transform his own life, and now is bringing all of these amazing leaders together to help transform yours. And we'll share in a little bit how you can take John and the journey with him in his next summit coming up. So, hi, John.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you for having me here today. I
Yeah.
love talking about this. I love it's just inspires this passion within me because really what we're talking about here is really the genesis of why I created Beyond the Ordinary. And it's because I just want to scream from the rooftops what works, what I know is going to make a difference. And I know because it made a difference in my life, and my life has done a 180 compared to how it was 5 years ago. I had a super successful business, but I wasn't really happy. And it actually had started to stagnate. I wasn't growing past a certain stage. And it's when I started doing these new things, had these new awarenesses come in, that things really start to shift. So again, I love what you're doing. I love this conversation. I love that you share these tips on a weekly basis because it's those nuggets
Yeah.
that
And
really make a
and
difference and are actionable.
yeah, and it's not always just business strategy. It's really, what's going on the inside. And transformation, as you're saying, it starts with what's going on inside of you, the way you see the world, the framework in which you're making decisions from. It has to do with how you prioritize, and a lot of times it has to do with just what you allow yourself to focus on. It sounds like that was a big turning point for you. I know it was for me. I started my transformation in 1997, and oh my God, I was like, I walked into this room and then I walked out of this room, and it was like Melanie A and Melanie B. Like it wasn't even the same kind of person. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, what happened with me is I was running an insurance agency. It was a franchise
Hmm.
that I owned, and it was going along pretty well. I had a great lifestyle, but I was missing something. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to hire a business coach because I was missing the mentor. I was in corporate America for a long time, and I was missing someone to guide me.
Hmm.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to hire someone to help me grow the business. Well, the person I hired not only focused on business, but she did this amazing personal transformation as well. And little did I know where I was going to go with the business consulting because it actually fractaled out into my personal life. And what I learned from working with her, and it's so true, is that anything that was going on in my business, anything where I felt that I was stuck, that I wasn't growing, that it wasn't enough, if people were showing up or if they weren't showing up, it was all a reflection of what was going on in my personal life as well.
I, as a rule, have found that anything going on in my personal life is always impacting my business, and it's setting me up to either be really motivated and inspired or not. So it sounds like that was a big awareness for you. I'm kind of curious if you could tell me a little bit about how you made the transition from insurance agent business consultant, it sounds like franchise owner, to being a what I would consider one of the thought leaders in the transformation, and we might even say alternative healing world.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I went from the insurance agency and I started working with my business coach, and she was amazing. I mean, the processes that I went through were just phenomenal. And I had always had an interest in the esoteric, if you will,
Hmm.
things beyond the ordinary. But I never really knew about personal development. I knew about meditation. It was kind of weird, but I'd see a psychic once a year. Okay, what's going to happen next year? Tell me. And that was about the extent of my diving into this transformational movement that had started to evolve afterwards. Um, so I started working with her, and it's just things just started popping left and right. Everything just like my intuitive abilities went through the roof. All these knowings, all these awareness, the self trust that I didn't have because I had shielded myself up so hard in corporate armor.
Hmm.
I had lost the ability to tap into that because I was trying to fit a mold.
I
And
so relate to this. No wonder we get along so well.
yeah, yeah. So again, we started working, and very quickly. I was going to say slowly, but it wasn't really slow. I worked with her for 12 weeks, and my life just it was crazy.
Mm.
Everything shifted. Business started going through the roof. My relationship with my kids started to change. My relationship with my ex-wife started to change. But it was all things that were showing up. And I bring up the ex-wife thing because it was in a positive way that it started to change. Because it really set me free from the binds that were holding me back, that were really self-imposed. Because
Mm.
nobody can put those upon me except me.
Interesting.
And so when I started shifting through those things, it was amazing and it was so quick. And she's like, no one's done this as quickly as you have in the last 25 years that I've been coaching people. And she's been coaching people from executives from Nike, Starbucks, Hollywood directors. I mean, really high profile people, Nobel Peace Prize winners. Actually, when she told me when her fee was, I nearly fell out of my chair for
Oh
12
my.
weeks. It's like, for me at the time, it was a lot of money because I
Yeah.
had never really invested a lot of money in my personal development.
Okay, just for context, less than 10,000 or more than 10,000?
It was exactly 10,000.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was thinking
Yeah,
you might say that for 12 weeks. Okay, good.
yeah.
All right.
So it was a good amount of money for me. But you know what? I paid it. I dove in, um, and I'm so glad that I did because if I wouldn't have paid the money, I would not have done the work.
What you did was you invested in a transformation. That there's a saying that you don't know what you don't know until you know don't know it, and you didn't know what you needed on the other side, but you were willing.
And I had to commit, and
Yeah,
the money made me commit. Had it been $300 a week, had it been something else, oh, okay, I'll do it. Maybe I
too
won't do it.
easy.
But
Yeah.
it forced me to commit, and by committing, I dove in, and my world transformed. And so actually, she asked me to work with her, and we partnered up, and we started doing things. So we started developing platforms. I dove into internet marketing. I dove into creating online platforms from knowing nothing except for what we did in the insurance business. And I did the insurance business for, gosh, almost 20 years. And the learning curve was huge,
Hmm.
but it was amazing and it was so much fun. And from there, I kept seeing, and we kept booking her for different telesummits, different events. And I saw that there was a gap in the conversation. I saw where there was, I can, I'm pretty intuitive and I can read people pretty well. And for most of the interviews, I won't say all of them, but for most of them, there's a few that really popped for me and really worked. But most of them, I felt that there was an underlying intention behind the person that was putting the show together that wasn't really aligned with the conversation. They weren't really
Interesting.
showing, they weren't really showing up in their passion for what the conversation was. And I saw the gap, and I was passionate about the topics because I saw what it did for my life. And I wanted to share what I had with my coach with
Hmm.
everybody in the world because the transformation was truly amazing. If you'd known me 5 years ago, we would have gotten along, but I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person. All these things just blossomed that were ready to. They were there underlying, ready to come out, but I was blocking them from coming up. So
Hmm.
I started the Telesummit with the idea to really bring something new to the conversation where my speakers can actually level up the conversation because I felt that they were holding back. I felt like there was a discord between a lot of the hosts and the speakers because they weren't matching each other energetically and
Mm-hmm.
leveling up the conversation so that could really help people go to the next level. Because how many times can you hear the same speaker over and over again? It's the same content. So it's really the host that's going to bring something different to the table. Um, and so I decided, you know what, I'm going to put out my own telesummit. And I had thought about it a few months before, but never really took action.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was April of last year, April 6th, as a matter of fact, of last year. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I put it together in 1 month with
Wow.
some of the most incredible speakers that typically say no to most of the telesummits and speaking opportunities being on my show. It was absolutely amazing, but everything just fell into place. It's like click, 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 click. And it was on path. And that's why it happened so easy. My intention was sincere. The reason that I was putting the show together was really felt by the speakers. When I reached out to the speakers, they're like, we don't know why, but we have to say yes to you.
Right.
And it's the passion. It's the passion and the intent that really, they felt it. They felt it in my being. They felt it in my emails. They felt it in everything. So by applying what I was feeling in my heart into my business, it allowed it to expand and to grow.
Well, there's so many juicy things going on inside what you just shared. I almost want to like go down each little rabbit hole, but I'm gonna not go there yet. um, one of the things I want to go back to though that you said was that you were booking your at the time the person you were working with onto these different telesummits and into these different interview series, and you saw this disconnect. So I always like to well, let me back up and say I personally think that part of a successful venture has to do with recognizing where there's a hole, where there's a need, where there's a problem being created through the sheer nature of some other activity or offering, and then stepping into that like a vacuum, just like sucking you into this like this place that you're supposed to be. And it's almost like you said, those click, click, clicks, just that's the right vacuum to enter. What would you say? So I heard you say that there was a disconnect, but is there another problem that's going on in the industry or something that really makes that click happen for the person who shows up for the interview series? What's making them show up when maybe hundreds of other people are offering telesummits and nobody shows up?
Yeah, I really think it's a resonance thing. I think the passion shows through from a business perspective. I wasn't doing things that much differently than what other people were doing. But I think it was the message. I think that
Yes.
I wasn't trying to duplicate where other people were doing, even though I was duplicating a model. I really created something new with beyond the ordinary. And so, again, my intention really came through in my copy. It came
Mm.
through in my headlines. It came through even my logo. And we just rebuilt the website. And I'm looking at the old website with so much gratitude for what it was because it was amazing. What we did for the last 3 seasons, and I count the seasons for each, how we've grown in the last year from creating this has been phenomenal. And if I were to look back and followed everybody's advice that told me not to do it, I wouldn't be where I am today with it. It's been absolutely amazing. But again, I knew why I was creating it and what I was trying to do. And I also let go. I didn't tie it. There's a financial incentive, of course, and there's also the financial preoccupation of what if it doesn't work.
Mm.
But I didn't let that be my motivating factor. If that had been my motivating factor, it would have failed miserably.
Yeah.
And I had a lesson come up this week to that effect. And it was a small lesson, but it was the universe kicking me in the butt,
Oh, we love those.
reminding me why. And it was so funny. We're putting out our new season, and we had a speaker who had to drop out.
Mm.
And so I was looking for another speaker, and my assistant goes, hey, you should reach out to this person. She's new. She sold all these packages and all this other telesummit. She's going to be great financially for the show. And so I looked her up online, and she was okay. I mean, she's got something to her, and she's got great information that I'm sure people will benefit from. But my connection with her wasn't quite there like it is with other speakers. I said, you know what? I was in a hurry. I said, yeah, go ahead and book her. She'll be great. When I reach out to a speaker it was so aligned with what she was doing. Let me preface that. And typically when I reach out to a speaker that it's really aligned with the message, I typically get a yes. It's like a no-brainer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason for them not to say no. I got an absolute no from her.
Wow.
Absolute no. She's new. She needs exposure. She's kind of She, I should have had an absolute yes. Um, and I thought about it for a while, and it bothered me for about 30 minutes. And it's like, oh, now I know. My intention wasn't aligned as to why I was doing it. I was doing it because of the money. I was doing it because she helped me get more opt-ins into the site. She helped me get more click-throughs perhaps because she's becoming popular.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't really aligned with her message. I wasn't really
Yeah.
aligned with what she was talking about. And the universe said, no, we're not going to let that happen. We have to remind you why you're doing this. And I heard it loud and clear after I had some time to reflect on it.
I love that you take the the things that can kind of get a little prickly
Yeah,
and mess up our mind a little bit, and you look at, all right, so where's that really coming from, rather than just letting it really affect you and take you out of the game and maybe even alter your approach. And when we learn to do that and we really take each opportunity that ruffles our feathers and figure out, all right, what am I making that mean, and where did that really come from, and what can I learn from it? I believe that's what really allows us to thrive in business overall, and it's an optimizing strategy. It's how you optimize your mindset so that you can be more powerful in your approach. And I think that's, I think it was Malcolm Gladwell that wrote the book Blink,
yeah,
and the idea of taking slices. That's what I think puts you in a place where you can blink and know what to do rather than ruminating and struggling and flip-flopping. That's a blink strategy. You are fine-tuning your ability to, what do I say yes to, what do I say no to, based on the fact that is it in the right intention? Is it coming from a pure place? Am I, doing things for the wrong reasons? And then all of a sudden you've got an answer.
absolutely. And I do it on a consistent basis, and it's just become habit.
Mm-hmm.
But it serves me so well because, if I remember anytime I work from fear and it comes up, that's just a memory of the past. That's something that I'm recalling that happened before, but it doesn't have to happen again.
Right.
If I really get into that and let that fear of money not showing up, fear of people not showing up, fear that something's going to go horribly wrong, that's just something that didn't happen before, but I'm aware of what happened, and by reflecting and doing the inner work, that also reflected out to my business. And again, it's business inner work also, because when I was doing the insurance business, I had to go back and look at why isn't the business working like I wanted to, and I have to really apply what I applied on a personal basis
Mm-hmm.
to the business, like it was an entity, like it was me, and go back and go, why aren't people showing up here? Why do they show up here? What do they like? What do they don't like? Where am I not communicating properly so that they can hear the message that I'm trying to hear? And then what do they want to hear back? What are they talking about that I'm not listening to because I'm so busy trying to convey my message?
I love what you just said. We get so busy in the me, me, me. How do I get my point across? How do I get heard? How do I get seen? I think that many of us are missing really listening and being present to what the people that, we can serve are saying to us. I know I went through that for a while. I was like, and sometimes I probably still do it. I'm being conscious in this moment that I probably need to go back and look at where I'm doing that. But when we are really plugged in and present, that's a huge marketing research and connection point. That's what real rapport is.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit. You've given us some little clues about what's making your telesummits so successful in such a short period of time, especially coming into an industry where there's a lot of big names, and John Burgos is kind of like shown up on the scene and like taken over. And some of us have been here for 14 years, right? But we've talked about messaging being really key, being in alignment, picking the right guests who really are a fit with that passion and the vibration of being beyond the ordinary, and really making a stand for transformation. So that I get. I'm wondering if there's some practical things that you're doing or not doing that you think really make this telesummit work.
Well, first of all, we've made it easy. I can't tell you how many times when I was starting to set up the summit, it's like, God, that's going to be so much work. God, it's so hard. God, I was sorry for you. It was so easy.
Mm.
It really was. It was easy. And of course, I knew some of the back end. I mean, I knew how to handle my funnels, but it wasn't complicated. And there's people out there that
Wait, when you say handle your funnel, what does that mean? Just so everybody's on the same page.
oh, to handle my funnels, to set up where each page is going to lead on from my landing page to the sales page to the replay page to the encore pages.
Okay.
The emails also in the funnel that had to go out. So the communication that I had to have with the audience to get them to engage. So
Right.
I
So you have a
didn't
strategy for engagement.
strategy for engagement. So
Okay.
I learned what those were, but I learned by also following the best of the best. So it's a lot easier to duplicate than it is to innovate.
Write
And
that down. It's a lot easier to duplicate what someone else has done well than to innovate. I love that.
yeah, and really what I brought to the table was me. I'm not doing anything different
Mm.
than a lot of the other big telesummits are doing out there. I'm really not. And we're all a hybrid of one another. And what differentiates us, excuse me, I don't know why I can't spit that word out today, what sets us apart is us, is the
Yeah.
hosts. And it's the people that we have working with us also.
Mhm.
Because my assistant, my web developer that I have, and I've got 2 employees really, um, they carry the energy that I have also. So I also surround myself with people who believe in what I'm doing, who are also passionate about the subject. And I hire people that are passionate about what they do. They love what they do.
Love it.
If you hire someone who's not passionate about what they're doing, look for someone who is. It's going to increase the ease in which you do your business, which is going to give you more time to concentrate on your passion and what you do best and give the technical skills away to other people. It's part of the E myth, right? That Michael Gerber.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're in an entrepreneurial role as a thought leader and transformational guide here. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you faced on the business side of things in terms of, running a telesummit oriented business the way you do now?
Yeah, gosh, the challenges. It's really keeping track of the flow, and we can get lost. It's a time management thing
Hmm.
because there's so many things that have to get done, and it's it's really interesting because when you're in your passion and you're working from that space, you can work 14, 16-hour days,
Yeah.
7 days a week, and you don't get tired. But you do need to carve out time for other things because they recharge you. And so the challenge is really time management and knowing when to delegate things to other people and knowing when to invest in yourself, that even though that you can that you can do it yourself, that you can actually hire it to someone else so again that you can stay in your strength. Um, and I struggled a little bit with that in the beginning because I wanted to do everything. It was a part of the control thing was good because I got to put a foundation down, but I also restructured some of the foundation when I actually hired someone that went in and looked to say, you know what, you can do this a little bit better. Let's do this. And so in that control part of it, by letting go, I was actually able to make the platform work better and we
Mm.
can reach more people, and it created more strategies where I could generate more traffic for the site, which of course would generate more traffic for sales and for the speakers to get known also.
It's funny, I always say let go to grow. I don't know if you know this, but I actually have a team building program called Build Your Dream Team. And so, that's one of the things I started very early. I was teaching people how to leverage their time by delegating and outsourcing. And, I always had this catchphrase, you got to let go to grow. What I heard you say is you got to let go to optimize.
Totally.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't thought of it that way, but I think you're right. You bring in other people whose talents maybe are honed in areas that you are generalists and they're specialists. And now you've got people who can say, hey, here's how we make this even better. Here's how it performs better. And you don't have to figure it all out on your own,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
tempting.
It's really tempting. And also part of it is that when I started the summit, Melanie, I wasn't afraid but what I didn't know. And so we
Mm.
get so caught up, and I've done this in the past lots of times, where I had a great idea, but I got so caught up in the research, so caught up in trying to perfect it, that I didn't create anything. By the time it got time to start the creation, I was tired.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to do something else, or I'm not quite sure if I can do it because look how complicated it is.
Mm.
Just get started.
Yeah.
Step one and start building it. Get your website ready. Your website doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be perfect. If you look at Facebook's first page, it was horrendous.
Did you see Facebook's first page?
Oh, yeah.
I never thought about that, but you're probably right. It was probably very clunky.
If you look at their landing page, it was horrendous. If you look at iTunes' first page, it was nothing compared to the quality that my page is up now,
Mm-hmm.
that I have up now is. So You just have to start putting your ideas out into the world, and you have to express them, because any idea that's contained within you, it's never going to get developed.
Interesting. So, would you say in the last few years since you've stepped into this new world, besides the transformation work you did, has there been a game-changing moment for you? Something that happened that it was like an awakening or an aha moment, and you went, "Oh, okay, everything is going to be so much easier, so much better now that I know this."
Oh gosh, I have game-changing and aha moments on a daily basis.
Now I'm asking you to pick one. All right, you can do two if you want.
Um,
Two
really,
big ones.
the aha moment that I had with the speaker that I mentioned last
Mm-hmm.
week was really big, because it reminded me where really the success is coming from, because it's not really for me.
Yeah.
This isn't really about me. It's about getting the message out into the world, that there's this information that once other people are aware of, they can benefit from. And so I'm just an information person, exposing other people to the similar processes that were available to me when someone brought it to my attention. So it's, gosh, to answer your question, I, the woman the other day reminded me of that, the speaker. That was a big, big reminder, to keep on track with my intention and my integrity. Because once you keep your integrity and you have that intact, it's just everybody else sees it. I don't want it. This isn't about me, Melanie, but it's one of the things that attracts people to me. It's my integrity,
Mm-hmm.
my honesty, my authenticity, and I get that over and over. I mean, in the responses that we have back from listeners to the show, that those are the three words that come up over and over again, and people are looking for that. They're desperate for that, because they don't see it enough in the world, and the energy shifting where people are starting to notice the difference.
I would
People are starting
totally
to notice
agree.
that people are starting to notice that degree of separation where the authenticity isn't there. So if you're not being authentic in your marketing, in your messaging, in building your business, if you have the intention of just doing it for money and not helping someone else, other people are going to feel it, and it's going to affect your bottom line.
Would you say there could be degrees of authenticity in the way we market? And maybe like people at some point might have the intention to be really authentic, but maybe there's levels of them being able to be authentic, or they're so indoctrinated into certain industries or worlds in which things are done a certain way, it keeps them on the edge of it. Have you do you see that or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I used to face that a lot in corporate America and what I was
Me
dealing with.
too.
But what also happens is that you're aware of what your personal intentions are, and depending where you're playing, you're going to show up to play the game where it's going to work for you, but you also know what you're trying to build for. So gosh, how can I explain that better? Because that's the degree of authenticity is really what you know what your intentions are. If your intentions are to harm others or to take from others without reciproc, it's when you show up to take away, people are going to feel that. When you're just showing up for selfish reasons, and making money is not selfish, by the way. Making money is fantastic. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I want to make millions of dollars, and we're going to continue to grow, expand, partner. We're going to really go out into the world. We're going to translate this work into different languages. There's a big call for that right now, and we're going to do phenomenally. And all that is fantastic because it also helps to grow the message and to expand the message.
Mm-hmm.
So my intention is to keep sharing information, grow my business, have a fantastic lifestyle, and there's integrity and authenticity and all of that. And I'm very transparent about it. I don't try to hide the fact that I make good money. I make great money. Um, and it was phenomenal that I did it in such a short period of time, going from working for someone into building my own show. Um, it was crazy how well I could support myself in such a short amount of time. Um, and again, it's in authenticity. I was authentic to what I was doing. I was really on path with my messaging. I was really on path with why I was showing up. Did
Mm-hmm.
I teeter-totter back and forth? Absolutely. I tried to reach out for certain speakers because they were going to help me convert more people onto my website. I tried to do, but those didn't work out as well as I thought they would.
Yeah, they never do. It's like you go for the people that you think, oh, this is going to be, win-win-win. It's going to add more opt-ins. It's going to add more sales. And then it's just like this energy never quite gets into flow. And you're like, why did I do that? I should have stuck to my guns. I have a little distinction that's brewing in my head that I want to say, see if you agree with it. It's like authenticity seems to be, we're willing to be real, like be ourselves. But integrity and in our communication and connection, like we just share and we're not like pulling the wool over people's eyes and saying one thing and doing that. But integrity seems to me is that you make the decisions behind the scenes that are totally congruent with what you believe and you value.
Absolutely.
And I had a mentor in the 90s that was so pivotal for me, and that was what she used to tell me. She said, I choose to be the kind of leader who I make the decisions that are completely congruent with our values here, regardless of whether anybody sees it or not.
That's a great point. I love that. That's fantastic. And you're right, it doesn't have to be seen. We've got all these little victories in the back, but you would think that they were defeats, but they're actually victories. But no one noticed them, no one saw
Right.
them. Speakers that we decided not to show up, that wanted to show up for reasons that didn't feel good, that would have been great for our bottom line. Was like, you know what, that doesn't feel right. Something's not quite
Right.
right there. It's opportunities to partner with other people that were showing up that could have been a boon for our mailing list, or for how different structures would have flowed out, or different opportunities that could have come from the telesummit. And just listening, sometimes you don't know why, Melanie,
I know.
but
You
you
don't
just,
have to know why. You have to trust that feeling.
right. But you trust the feeling and you follow it, and it's, oh, okay, that made sense. I And we've all had the feeling where the feeling came up and we didn't follow it, and it's like, oh, now I know why. And then we had to go clean up the mess.
Yeah. Well, and
Uh,
I made a decision that made no rational sense. Like I literally said no to working with someone or being on their event or whatever. And I'm like, this is not feeling right. And I didn't understand why I should do it. And everybody's like, that's dumb. You're going to lose money, whatever. I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. And then later I would see why. And I'd be like, oh, now I see that was a big mess for everybody. And I just avoided that mess. So I've had both sides. And it always feels really good. But it took me a long time to trust that part of me that the intuition was kicking in. Because I used to do more of the, I'm feeling off, but I'm going to go for it.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I love that you and I share so many different philosophies. It's like nice to see more and more of those places where we have that, because we knew there was synergy and a lot of connection the minute we started connecting in person. So that it's been fun to find more of those little connection points.
Oh, the second I talked to you, it's like, oh, yeah, we're talking more,
Exactly, I love that.
which is awesome.
And we're going to do more together, which we'll talk about in a minute. All right, so favorite quote or mantra that inspires you to stay connected to this passion, this integrity, and this authenticity.
Oh, I love it. And this came to me out of the blue right before the telesummit started.
Okay.
The telesummit was about to start, and all these things were happening. Things were going 500 miles an hour in a fantastic way. But I started getting nervous because I was having these big interviews coming up. My first interview was Bob Proctor, by the
Oh my
way.
God.
Very first interview was Bob Proctor. It's like,
That's a
how's
good
that
one to practice
for
on.
bucks, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, Bob was one of the people that I landed for the show, which was amazing. And from nowhere, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not a big religious person. I'm very spiritual, and I grew up Catholic and all that. So God's always been a part of life, but I'm not very religious. But this quote came to me out of nowhere from A Course in Miracles. It's like, wow, and it's so resonant for me, and I actually do it all the time, and I say it all the time when something new's coming up. If I have when first season, every interview, I I recite this back to myself. Or anytime something that I thought was larger than me was showing up, I would recite this also. And it just calmed me down, and it put me in such a state of truth. And I'll tell you why in a second. You'll probably get it. Um, and it goes as, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I'm content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me, and I will be healed as he teaches me to heal.
Love it.
Yeah, and it was amazing because it's really not about us. Anything that we're doing, all these things that we're creating, we're such a small piece in the puzzle. I mean, we take ourselves so seriously, but really there's this bigger force at play, and we're showing up to play a role that it's asking us to, and it's up to us to maximize that opportunity with who we are, because only we are uniquely qualified to bring us to the table.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, and so when we do that and we stay in that space and know that we are divinely guided, that we're here because we're being directed for a bigger cause, then we can just let go, because it's not up to us to create any of this.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to show up with that integrity, with
Right.
authenticity, with that triple bottom line win mentality where it's good for us, it's good for the other person, and it's good for the world. And when we show up for that, miracles unfold. Synchronicity happens. You put together a telesummit in 4 weeks with some of the biggest speakers in the transformational world. It just happens. And I've been the victim of the synchronicity for a long time. I mean, from the summit, I found some of the best friends. I found my tribe. I found, the woman I'm deeply in love with. I've created a successful business. I've got friends like you, Melanie, now, who are showing up that there's a connection, there's this resonance, there's this understanding of where we're coming from. And I wouldn't have done that unless I'd let go, trusted, and had the courage. Well, I wouldn't say I had the courage. I just had the knowing that I had to go this way. There was like no other choice. And so that's where that mantra comes from. And it helps me on a continuous basis.
Great. Well, real quick before we have to wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about your upcoming season of Beyond the Ordinary. And I'm so excited I'm going to be part of this round because I've been hearing about it. And when you invited me, I was so honored. I was like, oh, I got invited to this powerful telesummit. How fun. And it's so different than the ones that I normally get to do, because normally it's all business and entrepreneurship. So let's talk a little bit. And first of all, let me give everybody a very special URL to go so they can get involved in this telesummit coming up. It's melaniebensonstrick.com/beyond ordinary. I know it's a little bit long, but we want to make sure we get you to where you need to be. It's also below wherever you're looking. There's a little link to it as well. So, John, let's just talk a little bit about the lineup and what people could expect when they're joining us in this season.
Oh my God, there's so many great things showing up. I've got amazing speakers. First of all, I'm so honored that you said yes. I was excited. I'm not sure if you do a summit like this, because I know you focus on business. It's different for you, but really the message that you carry in business really has threads that really deal with what we deal with on this show. So everything that you talk about, again, I started in business also, and I use business as an excuse for my personal transformation. We all choose where we want to learn the lessons, but it's, again, the fact that you showed up and you're willing to, and that you're bringing this particular strength, your incredible talents to the lineup, it's such a boost for our audience. They're going to get something that's really going to rock their world, because they're going to get a perspective and awareness of something where if they're too entrenched in a particular sector, you're going to just wow them. With something new that's going to make a difference in their lives. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm so looking forward to the interview. We've got a neuroscientist, Mark Waldman's going to be on.
Oh, I know Mark.
Amazing. God, he's phenomenal.
He's brilliant.
And I've got a lot of different surprises. I got Rika Zimmerman, who I
love Rika.
So lucky to call my girlfriend, but she is a powerhouse and so much fun to listen to. And just, I get to see how she affects her community. And it's just absolutely amazing, the transformation that takes place in their personal lives, in their business, in their sexual lives, in their health. It's just, it's great. We've got some personal relationship experts coming on. And I love hosting psychics and channels on Beyond the Ordinary, but it's so different because it's not what you would think. It's not like a carnival circus show. We really have deep conversations. And there's this information that comes that we all know down at core, it's buried within us, but when they speak it, when they access that level of understanding, it wakens something up within us. It awakens this knowing that it really allows us to move forward in a whole different way, and so empowered. So those are fun interviews. And again, we get to apply all of these things not only to our personal life and transformation, but there's so many business applications to it as well.
Absolutely.
Because again, it all fractals out. What's happening in business is happening in our personal life. It's happening in our health. It's happening in our sexual life. It's just, it shows up everywhere.
It's like one big circle, and everything is affecting the other thing. And you know what's funny, as you're talking, I have this vision. It's like you're the virtual male Oprah show. It's like you have this ability to have that connection that Oprah created with her community, but you're bringing out through this virtual channel, and you're bringing a lot of the same subject matters that made her popular over the years. You're tackling those as well. So I have officially like indoctrinated you as the male, super cool, very authentic version of Oprah.
Awesome. I'll take that all day long. Let's brand that.
Oh yeah.
So far, good.
The male, very fit, very authentic Oprah. That's probably not going to go over too well. So let's just say you are John Burgos. Super authentic guy.
Yeah, I'm John Burgos with amazing friends, amazing business associates, and just living the life of my dreams. It's phenomenal. And again, it's when I lined up with what my passion was. When I started playing more, which is a key component in business. We don't play enough. We take ourselves too serious.
Totally agree.
And when I started asking for help, because we can't do this solo. When all those things started coming together, and I started letting go of all the things that I thought I had held on to and the fears, that's when life just started to change. And it's allowed this huge expansiveness to occur. And I can't wait to see where life's going. I'm not projecting, because if I do, I think I'll make it too small based on my past.
Good call.
So I'm just going to ride each day as it comes and enjoy it as much as possible and see where it goes. But I know just fantastic things are coming.
I love it. Well, John, thanks so much for coming on today. I'm super excited about Beyond the Ordinary and the Summit. I hope you guys will join us too. And we'd love to hear from you. Share if there was an insight or an aha or something that really resonated with you today. I know John and I both love to hear it. You can just look for the comments section below. And if you're on iTunes, you can head over to melaniebensonstrick.com, go over to the blog and join us in the conversation there. We'd love to hear from you and connect with you there. So John, thank you so much. Here's to being beyond the ordinary. And I can't wait to see you thrive and thrive and thrive with this for years. So bye, everybody.
Thank you, Melanie. And thank you for your heart. You're amazing. I want to just remind everyone they know it, but I think you need to be acknowledged for it. You have an amazing heart. Thank you for what you do and how you do it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.